Okay. I've been trying to rank in my petitions lately, and maybe one of those petitions will be answered. That's good. That's good to see the clouds out there and all the positive rain. We're delighted today to have Gene Sandrock, a longtime member of the congregation, a solid background in art and art education, talk about creative life. This is one of those that I've been looking forward to for a while, and I'm glad to have you with us this morning. She'll just lead us through her presentation and process, and then following that, we have coffee and money. Do. Dean, it's good to have you with us. My hands pulled up. You're mic and you're ready to go. Okay.
Can you hear me?
Welcome.
Thank you. Thank you. And it is such a delight to be here. Thanks for coming. I do appreciate that. Because I am nervous. I don't know why. I think because I'm not in front of the classroom every day anymore. And so this was kind of a, plus I know you all expect good things. So I am going to do my best to try to influence. Yes, you know I'm an artist, you know I'm a teacher, and I also want to talk about being a woman of faith and how the faith and art combined in all the congregations that we've been in and what I've done for those. So how do you have a creative life? Well, that's a big question, isn't it? What is it? How do you get it? And most importantly, certainly, how do you keep it? What we're going to be doing this morning are several different kinds of activities to inspire you, I hope. And also, I have examples, lots of examples. And I sort of always defer to this kind of stuff because it makes me feel comfortable. I can talk about these things, tell you what I've done. And what I'm really hoping is gives you ideas to think about and see how you and I are very similar in some of our creative thinking or the kinds of things that we do. Because I do feel we're connected, all of us are connected. And creativity is the most important thing every single person should only have it. So I'd like to start with something right away. That's what I do. And I'm going to show you this photo, and I'd like you to just keep a look at it. I'd like you to take a look at this and see what you think it looks like. Oh, I could. Yeah, this is why I like to do this instead of a PowerPoint. I want you to read this. Think of yourself as 31st graders. Oops. And this way. Sorry. So you can see what it is. So it's an interesting, I thought when I saw it the first time, it kind of looked like those little potted Christmas trees that people could take, put on a table at Christmas, right? At least that's what I thought. So then I'd like to show you version 2. Notice the orientation. The orientation makes such a difference. This picture was taken at the end of the road in Iowa, Wisconsin. There's a pond, and a dear friend of mine came up at fall, and she took a photograph. And when we looked at it, the mirror image in the water was just amazing. So it says to me that sometimes when we see it like this way, or you're writing something, or you're doing something, and it just doesn't seem to be working. Maybe turn it on its end. You can turn it upside down, turn it the other way. See what you can do. What you want to be creative in a different way. And this is just the best picture of all. I have to tell my friends that we'll continue to use it for. So photo observation, look at something. I sometimes use my camera to look at my work because it gives a different sense. I can take a photograph of something and I stand back from it, and it looks different than when I'm standing from it. So that's one suggestion to make. Also, I'd like to mention that often we don't know we have something. Today's topic is creativity until we look back on it. And I told Pastor Ken I'm indebted to him for asking me to do this because it forced me to look back at my life and try to pick moments back at that. So I realized these experiences that I've had to make me realize something important. It has been in my life. I'll be sharing these moments, and I hope that in me finding my creativity, mentioning some of these, we will, I'd like you to interpret the examples through your life. That's the whole point of this. Not to talk about what I've done, but more how you can interpret it and see some of the things I've done and some of the things you've done. And your own creativity through a new lens is very important. So let's think in that vein as we start to go through all these things. So the first question I have for you is, let's focus on this question. What gives you joy? And I'd like you to think about an object. It could be a teacup you came from your grandmother. It could be a plant at your house that you love. A person, easy to define, or an event. Anything. Oh, you saw your granddaughter in the first dance recital, and it's always stuck in your brain. A couple of things. Figure out something that gives you joy. And I hope you know that. Because now what I'd like you to do is turn to the person on your right or left. So pick somebody that you like to share with what you chose as your favorite years to try in 2 minutes. Hear my water. Every time. They came back all. That's been experienced all the time. Oh, great to see you. I was so worried that you'd all sit there and not talk. So, but yeah, so much of today is going to be you sharing about what she thinks of creativity. So I want to share, I'd love to hear all of yours, but we don't have time. So I'm going to share what my thing of joy is, and it's over here. And there are 3 things that I want to talk about. In my studio, when I go down to my studio, I have 2 wonderful windows that face the east side. And so when Paul and I were the south of France, and we walked into this artist studio, and she was an art glass specialist. Eva Luca, I was so impressed with her. I followed her ever since on Facebook. She's amazing. And what I saw was this work, and it was the only size work I could buy and bring home because it's small enough. But it was just beautiful, and the reason I chose it was this is one of my works. Can you see it? Yes, yes. So when I saw this, there was not even a question of which one I was buying. Room or not, we carried it on suitcase. So it just was amazing to me. So a creativity moment for sure. Oh my goodness, here's this person in France who's doing things in glass that are very similar, or at least look similar to what I was doing. So that was my joyful moment, and I use it every day. And I think if you look through so whatever you came up with today, look through that lens, start to think, because all of us have good, bad, and ugly. Please go through life looking for those joyful moments, and if they change, awesome. But at least if you have one, you can start your day with it. So that's a big suggestion. I also would like your picture 10-year-old Jean Sandrock, because her first full set of colors, my best friend's mom gave them. And the neighbor 2 doors down was the artsy mom of the neighborhood. You know, there was always one. She was the artsy mom. And so when I was growing up, the way that I drew a stream or a river was like this. You know, the ribbon going across the way. There it is. There's a few waves, but it was a ribbon. Indeed, it was. This dancer was a lot smarter than I was. And she showed me my first experience with perspective. And how do I make that stream look like it's coming towards me? Well, this is what she taught me. What can you do to make that ribbon turn into a beautiful stream? I thought this was the most eye-opening experience I've ever had. Of course, at 10, you know, I was looking for something, but she was amazing. So that started things a lot. But you're going to be hearing a lot about the kinds of things that happen. So I'm singing in choirs. I love music. I played cello from 3rd grade, and I even played through singing, played and so there. Those things kept me busy. And unfortunately, because I was college bound, by the time I get to school, there was no time for art classes. So I have absolutely no art classes until summer before I enter St. Olaf. So one art class, I only claimed the thing. But nonetheless, I figured, carry on, we're going to St. Olaf and we're going to do art music. And so I take my first painting class from a professor who's wonderful. And he takes one look at my painting, my first painting, and he says, wow, my goodness, I love that your clouds look like the Flemish painter's clouds. So I don't like these clouds. And I did them. And I said, well, that's really interesting to hear because I've never seen a Flemish painter's pictures. So again, wow, there must be some signs of creativity in this world to be able to do things that someone else can see something. So again, these things are the moments that they come back to me. And think, well, oh my goodness, there were some things that happened along the way. So what feeds your imagination? St. Olaf gave me all these experiences. They gave me a chance to feel and to experience art. One of my favorite things, I did an independent study with the physics department. Now, figure this non-science girl doing something with the physics department. And what I created was a projection box. My dad made this big round wooden box. And in the front of it, there was a slit that you could put glass panels in. And in the back of it, there was a place for a cord to come up. Because remember the 1960s aluminum Christmas trees? And they did those rotating lights, red, yellow. Okay. So this had that rotating light, but it wasn't blue, red, green. What it was a disc, and on the disc was a piece of polarized material. would shine through the front glass plate. So what went on the glass plate was layers and layers of Scotch tape, plain old ordinary see-through Scotch tape, but it was done in different angles. And I created geometric, I did like 5 or 6 patterns, geometric full size, these were 18 by 18 plates, geometric patterns, and the coolest thing happened, you plugged in the light, and every 90 degrees, the colors changed on my box. So colors that were yellow became purple, those are complementary colors. Red became green, and orange became blue. It was the most fascinating thing. I thought I was just rocket science in this. However, now the art department is kind of like, what is this cool thing? You know, we could paint and do whatever we do normal art things. So I should have known at that point that I wasn't really the typical art student, but boy was that a fun one. I also did at that time, I did a whole semester of screen printing on fabric. I found and applied home economics teacher who was willing to work with somebody who was seen outside the box. And I spent all that time printing on linen and cotton and different fabrics, created placemats and napkins and even art pieces that were principles. I also was able to dabble enough in interior design to which the St. Olaf had an area of that. They did not, but this teacher again gave me some ways to try. I even created a playground design for kids where the slide looked like the old woman in the shoe. And so that was just such fun. These were such funny things to do. And it made me realize that you don't just you don't just have to be fun. Keep up with those kinds of things. The best thing St. Olaf gave me was 5 weeks of European art history study tour. My junior year, we went with 2 nuns and priests, and I won't go into a joke about that, but there were 30 students, and we were all from small colleges in the Midwest. It was amazing. I saw beautiful, beautiful cities. It opened my eyes. I'd never been out of the country. I was a pretty naive girl who went to Europe for the first time, and to go with them, get through that land was an amazing experience. And I thank St. Olaf for them every single day. It's a wonderful, job. So now we have activity number 3 for all of you. This time, I'd like you to imagine a dream home that is entirely your own. So just for you, your space to do with as you like. Think of 2 things that you would have with you in that room and why. Why would you do them? I'm going to let you think for 30 seconds. Then this time we're going to go forward or backward. So find somebody different. Here, somebody different to talk to. And we're going to spend 2 minutes talking about the 2 things and why you brought them into the room. Okay. And I'll use the same prompts because I'm so good at them now. We know how to do that. So take the first 30 seconds and think about your 2 items and why.
Halfway through.
Sure. Okay, sure. I will be happy to do that. Listen, where's this? Look. Like, anybody willing to share? Bye bye. What I'm screaming. What I would take is least important. What I would want is a room with a lot of windows that's looking out onto a lot of greenery where we can see the moon at night, all of that. So, a wonderful answer. That's a wonderful thing. And it just goes to show, aren't we all different? Think about what you would think. What kinds of things? Yeah, each of us are so different. And Marilyn and I, because we're almost 90 and she is 98, are you, Marilyn? And we had different things. I had a chair with a book, and Marilyn had a good lighting and a magnifying glass. Yeah, it's not about chairs, so we both wanted chairs. Yeah. Wanted chairs. And we also, the second thing we selected something that was crafted. A particular painting that he really retains. And mine was a needlepoint. Exactly. Thank you. Charlie, you want to do a quick one? What's a camera on a floor? Wonderful. You know, it take a picture, but at least if you got the camera, you've got pictures to look at. And also flowers are colorful. Colorful flower, whatever you reflect on, it's there are only right answers. There are no wrong answers to any of these things, which is why these are the kinds of things we're asking. All of us are creative and we keep showing it and the answers keep there. So thanks for sharing that. We'll come back to my story. I graduated in 1973 with a Bachelor of Arts degree from St. Louis in art education, and I began teaching middle school art in Beloit, Wisconsin. Interesting. Just briefly, three things that year. We had a strike. I'd never carried a picket sign in my life. The first 2 weeks of school, no money. Then there was a terrible fire in the library, an arson fire that year. We had to teach through it and clean up after it. And the third little thing that happened was I tried to take a cigarette away from wife, who threw me around the room. So it was a meaningful first year. It was quite the place, but it also was a great experience. It was wonderful because middle school kids are full of life and excitement and they're wonderful. By 1979, I start my own business, James Sandrock Art and Design, and that continues to today. Life is filled with all the normal things, marriage, starting a family, finding time to do my make drawings, which these are more current examples, but it gives you a chance to see and to look at the originals and then those. So I brought those for a reason. And we did our work usually from 9 to midnight because kids would go to bed and kind of fall asleep, and then we would work. I would do school stuff and I would work on these. As a freelance artist, I did all sorts of things. I did calligraphy projects, that was big at the time. I would do letter wedding invitations, or I would do, I worked for a caterer, so she would have me doing these elaborate parties. I was doing, one time I did the backdrop for a Chinese party. There was a huge Chinese door. And so they were very, again, creative things that were pushing my creativity. Okay, if you need a Chinese door, I'll find out what one looks like, I'll do that. I also did things that started to combine my faith with my church. We were at First English Church in Appleton. We spent a lot of years doing a lot of different kinds of things with them. So, how did I connect all this stuff? Well, if you get a chance, the red binder that is here is 9 years of my life that I spent working for the Senate on their yearly convention. How we all have the conventions in June. Well, it was first the American Lutheran Church, and then it changed to the ELCA. And during that time, I was working with bishop and assistant bishop, and the best part of those years were the brainstorming, thinking, dreaming, wishing, hoping, coming up with themes for the year, coming up with a visual that would be something that could carry us through the year, doing all the materials. So I did like the graphics materials for the convention, cover the booklet, that kind of thing. But the challenge was, you don't see Paul and I hanging on the ladders, but we were involved in this in hotels. And so I would then have to take my designs, manufacture them to full space, wall size, and then hang them in these buildings. So we took our voice, sometimes it was Paul and I, and we did some creative. One of the ones I remember that was fun was I came up with the idea of cardboard boxes. And so it became this giant puzzle up in the front on the stage. And so they were like maybe 10 feet tall. And then we would switch the boxes for each day of the event. So there were different images on all sides. And that was a fun. Another one that was memorable was 95 congregations were part of that Synod district. And they had me doing calligraphy, all 95 names in a concentric circle. And each congregation was given one of the largest printed things that I found, fairly large. And each one got, but I never saved those. Where do you put that in your house? There is a whole. So that was a really interesting thing. But it wasn't only art related. I don't want you to think that creativity is only talent art. It isn't everything you put. So we have 2 kids who are very involved in theater and music. So they First English started the first of what I never heard of. They had an internship program for kids, like our boys, in the summer. And they would pay them a small stipend. And our boys put on full-scale musical productions. Music for pastors. We did Joseph. One pastor was Pharaoh, and the other was Patrick. And Corey, our oldest, was Joseph. And Brett is the wedding guy. So we came in as this team of my mom sewed up a storm. And, we were all doing parts of it. We brought the congregation outside of that. So that was stretching us. I did the poster designs, and I did helping with the set design and things. So there were lots of projects that kept our creativity going. It wasn't just only art. First English was a great place. That pastor I am also indebted to, because he and there are sometimes people, and I'm sure you can think of someone in your head who you brainstorm well with. You know them well enough, or there are things that you can talk about that just make it a special relationship. And he was one of those pastors, and he got me to do so much work for nothing. I did illustrations for you'll see. I brought the cookbook. Yeah, the cookbook is up here that I did for them. I did we had an organ renewal just like here, and I did an illustration of that, but they still give us gifts for someone. So there were lots of times. Wonderful, and kept me thinking and growing. I was learning those that collaborative work is great. Keeps you growing and changing and encourages all of those ideas. So be a part of that. So that's fun. This time we're going to work in groups of 3 or 4. This is a big project. How do you build your skills to work with others? We'll see examples. You're going to have a few minutes to find a group because sometimes that takes people, but you seem fun. So I'm going to need to kind of get together. 3 to 4 people and 12. You're going to come around and each one you can have one of these sheets. This project is called What is the Problem? And you'll see it's a really old vignette picture that you're going to see. And this project works on the idea of problem sensitivity. What do you see in this photo? Everybody sees something different. So what you see, figure out all the explanations, good, bad, improbable problems. What do you think is happening in this picture? And be perceptive, be imaginative. Don't just do one in the mill. Come up with something creative. And talk among yourselves. Who you come up with. I know I'm not going to ask you to retell it, but in your doing, you will find out all the truths. So 3 to 4 of you. Side that says number 4 that has that old people picture. What are those old people doing? And do you see the dog? I had to look carefully. I'm sorry. I feel like David D. Edwards, that's from his book, How to Be More Creative. I want to give him credit. Wonderful book. I have some books up here. You'll have to take a look at them. He had some great ideas. So it was 5 minutes, and I will thank you to Eric. I will let you know at 2 minutes. Okay? Good idea. confused or wondering or what all of those continue to reflect on how effectively you can work with the people that you were with. Did you feel you were an active member? How did you feel you were participating? How did it go? Because all of these things, again, goes to that collaboration, working with others, and learning from others. And the more we can stay open to that, the more creative. So that's my life, 1995 to 2006. I got teaching art because, oh, yes, the boys need to go to college. So I was teaching art this time at the Middleton District. But they asked me not only to teach art, but now they say, would you be interested in becoming trained to be a gifted and talented teacher in the district? Of course I would. Of course I would. Our teachers are perfect candidates for that. We're creative, they like that, and we have to do all the things. So stretching and growing and trying to figure out, oh my gosh, I learned a whole new set of skills to add to my teaching. And I even taught magnetism to second graders, which was pretty much the stretch again for the non-science magnetism. Magnetism science projects, I was offering leadership after school activities. I was creating different ways. As a gifted and talented teacher in Middleton, I had a school of 350, and sometimes I was serving working on school. So we were trying to provide opportunities for kids. So again, stretching and creativity. How can I do some things to make a dent in this? Gifted and talented is a very big topic, and it's very difficult to serve, but you do the best that you can. And it did cause me to stretch and grow, so that was, I was teaching, I was in middle school from 95 to 2006. Those were the years. And it was an amazing time. There were awards during that time. And the only reason I mention them is I think they have to do with creativity. The first one is I got an award from U.S. Representative Scott Fluke called the Outstanding Friend of Education, because that year I was teaching at Park School in West Plains, and they took my class. They said, "Oh, you're an art teacher. Sorry, get a part and start teaching." And so, no play. Well, we could do play, we did little tiny things, but we couldn't fire. It was a very difficult year, and my principal nominated me to this Friends of Education Award. Say it was because I did work with the teachers. I worked with science and social studies classes in different ways that we can incorporate when they were running in the classroom to art activities. So it was again a growing and stretching, again, trying to find new and different ways to do things. Another one that I'm really proud of is this poster. If you get a chance to go up later to look at it, the reason it means so much is our joint first place award. This was a national contest by the people, ink people. They made inks for block printing, and I taught block printing to my fifth graders. And this student, Sarah, did, and we were studying George O'Keeffe. And George O'Keeffe has the big flowers that yellow lilies and things. But we did 3-color printing, and for a fifth grader to do 3-color printing is kind of major stuff. And this, I thought this was such a beautiful print. But the other part of it was Jean Sandrock. So I had to do what I hoped was a creative lesson plan. And we're going to talk about what I used as an inspiration in a moment. But this was a big deal, and the best part of it was because she was the elementary winner for the country. She was given school was given $350 on pen supplies. And for any art teacher, every little item in my budget was carefully decided. This was such a treat. It was just such a wonderful thing. She was a wonderful student. This should have been an award winner. And you can see these are the older kid versions. But it was really a fun thing, and that was a great project. So that was very meaningful. But the reason that I'm mentioning this one in particular is our fifth activity is more for you to think and take home and observe. But the poem that I use to inspire inspire this project, that will work for this, was a quote by Georgia O'Keeffe himself. I thought I brought in that, I don't know if all of you know that Georgia O'Keeffe came from Sandrock, so I tied that into a lesson plan. This was a great combination of things. So this is Georgia O'Keeffe's words. Nobody sees a flower, really. It is so small, we haven't the time. And to see takes time, like to have a friend takes time. It's the picture that's on the back of your number 4. And the 2 photos that are on there give you some inspiration. We were in Monet's garden. I bought it this spring on April 3rd. And this is Monet's garden. Both of those pictures were taken, Paul's pictures. And it was such a meaningful moment to see the beginning of April. I thought I'd see maybe a couple of, blooms in the trees, and that was it. And I think the entire town comes together to make this beautiful garden beautiful throughout the summer. But what I also want you to do is to, as you're outside this next week, look at the flowers that you have either in your yard or if you're on a walk, whatever flowers you're looking at. Don't you find flowers inspiring? Think about God's hand in the colors he's picked, the combinations he's put, and the beauty that we constantly see. It's his work that gives all of us the inspiration. So if you're seeking inspiration someday, just look outside your door, take a walk, and see what you can see. It's just amazing. We can't take credit for that, but we certainly can appreciate it. So a beautiful, beautiful way to keep, again, your inspiration growing. So 2003 came in my life. I had been doing black and white art and calligraphy for all these years, tons and tons and tons of it, and I needed a team. So, can I take a risk? Can I try something new? What am I going to do? How am I going to do it? Well, once again, I turned to independent study, and this time there's an entire binder, this white and red one over here, with my calligraphy piece and my book that came out of this time. This was, starting to appreciate papers, and also use my calligraphy skills still, but in a new and different way. And I wrote an independent study that I did for the University of Wisconsin Stevens Point. And my plan was to experiment with new media and use specialty papers and techniques. I was starting to move into what I was going to be doing for the next 20 years, which was collage work. So I needed this color. I experimented all summer, but the best thing I did, you have to look at some of the pictures, is I had about, I don't know if it was 6 or 8 students of mine that took private art lessons, and they were practicing the same stuff as I was doing it. Oh, was that fun? What did they see? How did they do it? Did I miss something? They were so creative. We did paper marbling. We did quilling. I had a different theme for every week. And I think it was a 6-week period that they were working with me. I have 2 art tables in my studio. So the families that have 2 kids, I had a table for each, and it was big stuff. This is Sandrock's tables. Enjoying this stuff. It was really a fun experience. But you can see, and I photographed the girls doing them, and it just happened to be all girls. They did drawing and painting. We went out in the backyard and we did things. We did small tiles that were made out of collage. They just tried everything. It was a really fun experience, and it gave me a lot of, again, pushing of myself. Can I start to move into something else? What would it be? How could it be? I also then, at the same time, was focusing on my own art as I started to, and I decided I'd call this painting with paper, because I think most of you can look at it as a painting, but you realize when you get up close to it, see all the little pieces of paper, I'm either tearing or cutting to create. Sometimes there's paint with time, but primarily it's the paper that I'm working with. I also encourage myself, I've never done one woman shows did two of them. We did one in 2011 at Belladonna Style Design Studio. They're like a, you know, a bath and kitchen kind of design place. And they have vignette rooms set up, so I take my work and put it there. And then in 2016, I was pleased to be asked to be the featured artist in Monroe at the Monroe, Wisconsin Art Center. And then I produced 28 works. And for me, my works take so much time. You know, the one that Joe and Chan gave it. So 8 months. Sometimes my works take 2 months, 4 months, 8 months. I was really pushing to get the 28 works up there, but it was a great experience. So glad I did it. But after that time, commission the works became my emphasis. So that's pretty much primarily what I'm doing now. I meant it's easier for me to meet the individual needs of a person or a group if I am working on a commission situation. So I was doing those, but I wanted to keep going. I didn't stop. So not only did I do the works, but there are some of the books. Each collage that I now do has books to go with it. So, and I found that this is a great way for me to show a client how the project was done and all the steps, because no one really realizes why it takes. And I think it helps the client appreciate and understand a little bit more work. So you're welcome to look at these. Carolyn's granddaughter, who's an amazing astrophysicist, I might say, challenged me greatly the year that Carolyn asked me to do it as a gift. She wanted the view in outer space from the Hubble telescope. Again, remember, non-science girl. So Emma encouraged me to look daily at astronomy.com. It was a website to see images. I didn't know that outer space had as much color as it does. So, well, let me just show you this. It ended up a work that was talked about a challenge. This one was really unique, very different. I was challenged once to do a memorial gift for a girl who had been murdered. And those kinds of works, 20 years after it happened, because the family was finally ready to have some kind of a visual, and it was working with them to do something meaningful, I'm sure, but wonderful. You know, those are the things. So as far as pushing myself, so 20 years, 2003 on is the college work. And it's what I'm still working with, and I'm still thoroughly enjoying every minute of it. So let me get back because I'll forget. Just a moment. She was pretty organized and over there. Okay. Sorry. And that's why I was finished with this too. I could have moved right on. So, saying all these wonderful and glorious things, everybody gets stuck up at some time. And I don't want to make this candy coated, but what happens when you do get stuck? Those of us need to encourage our creativity. These are some of my reasons during the time. When I work 5 to 8 months, I'm creatively exhausted at the end. And sometimes I need a break. All of us can use a break. So don't give yourself the grace to have a break. Sometimes the pressure to be creative when you may not be in a good space yourself. Maybe you've got issues, you have ill, you know, their life goes on, and sometimes you just can't be creative. In sharing so much of yourself, sometimes you need time away to return with a fresh outlook. And this is sometimes kind of scary for me. It's scary to show who I am. Are you going to like it? Are you going to hate it? Normally people are like enough, they don't tell you face, but you know, you might not like any of what I have to say. But it's good for us to keep trying and putting ourselves out there. For me, a death or an illness in my family is a great impact. And so I can't always work until I work through that. That sometimes is very difficult for me. My head needs to be clear to create my art. Your schedule can get so busy. All of you are busy people. I know all of you. The giving time to create just isn't possible. And what I believe in is you can't create on. I can't say to myself, Gene, go down to that studio. You've got 2 hours. Go. Nothing ever good comes. It's just you'd be better off to read poems or sit and look at the sunshine or do something to just relax yourself. And then the expectations of others and projects that or donations or gifts that I'm doing for someone sometimes takes away from doing the work that I'd like to be doing. So all of those things happen. So then where does my inspiration come? When I walk down into my studio, I look around and I have this beautiful glass piece. I have Paul brought back from Vietnam. He was with a group of teachers in Vietnam. This amazing textile work. I have that painting there. We were both, we were asked to do presentations in Hawaii. Paul was teaching. I met with a guild group in Vietnam. Thing on collage, a whole day activity. And they have a paper in Hawaii called color paper, which is a pounded paper. And it has printing on it. Very expensive. We looked and tried to find, couldn't find it. So one of Paul's wonderful teachers to us. When we got back home, she sent us one of these. So I have that one for you. So I look at that. I look at things like this goes back to Appleton years. There was a friend of mine who had a small gift shop, and I was doing, work, graphic design work for all different things. I had t-shirts and had my designs on for Appleton. I had all different kinds of things. So there's a couple of leftovers of these that have pencils in my studio, so I see those things. So all of that stuff inspires me. Another thing that inspires me is Tim Box. And if you don't know Tim Box, well, please get to know him. He's an amazing man. This is sat on my desk since the mid-80s. And it is, we know that all that happens to us is working for our good if we love God and are fitting into 3 letters is life. This is what I go to every time I struggle or falter, or I don't know if I'm going to get another commission, or I don't know if I'm good enough, or if something was disappointing, or it didn't work, or whatever else. And God has never failed. Every time I think it's time for me to quit, or maybe I'm not good enough, or all those things that we all have, these are the words. So find something in your life that can be the barometer for what you live like. And this one is amazing. And I met this Box is from Chicago. In Appleton, he came and gave a class seminar. His books are a delight. They are illustrated. His paintings are wonderful. I just brought 2 of them. Proverbs one is equally a nice small one to have. He's fabulous. He is a man of faith. He's just what he wrote in the book. And I just treasure that. And just even know that. He's amazing. He has yearly calendars, which I struggle to find sometimes, but they are beautiful. Now, everyone is a great member. So he's a great inspiration. If you're looking for new creativity, seek him out. And another thing that I use is this piece I did in 2003 to commemorate that change study. I chose a quote done by middle school kids because it reminded me of 1974 when I started teaching. And these kids, they've got it all. Art is magical. Art is what you know, dream, and believe. Art is my life. That sounds like a seventh grader. Art is my life. Art is the voice of my soul, which I love, which is why I made it bigger. Art is a universal language. Art is a picture from your heart, a moment frozen forever. My heart is still. So this is my studio's in our basement. So as you walk down the stairs, this is what I see every day that I go in. Because said I wanted color. So, and this is reverse out calligraphy letters, fun techniques, fun things to do. Plus, it gave me, I entered 2 things that year in 2003. You know, when you're teaching, you're so busy. I didn't have time to enter art contests together. But there was one for art teachers at the University of Wisconsin. I entered this one and one I didn't bring. The one I didn't bring was the one that they chose. I really love this one better. So I chose this. It forced me again to say, I can get out and I can do that. Because sometimes our teachers, we get caught up, well, we're doing everything for 350 kids, and we don't really for ourselves. So these things were, those are inspirations that I did, that I did not. So what I created, pretty good. I created 2 things for you to take home with you. And one of them is a card. I'll show you the blue card. It's got these passing out. One is a card that has print on both sides. And this is nurturing a creative attitude through life. This is my advice. Think yourself, I am a creative person. Whether you are today or not, please think it. Set the stage for creativity to us. Relax and be flexible in your ideas. Give yourself time. Be a kaleidoscope as you constantly turn bits of information in your mind. Oh, that's helpful. Don't judge an idea too soon. Don't throw it out. Just consider it. Turn it on its end. Remember from the first thing I showed you, turn it upside down. Let your mind wander. Be open. A creative attitude is questioning. Be sensitive and break down ideas to manageable solutions. We don't take on too much. Just break it down. Give yourself permission to be creative. Get rid of judgment and criticism. Play music, doodle, or write. Woodrow Wilson said, originality is simply a fresh air. So that's a good one. And then on the back, sometime this week, when you have a chance, write down why and how are you creative. You might be the most amazing baker or a singer or mathematician or mechanical person that could walk rings around me. You know, there are things I can do, there are things you can do. What are you creative about? We're all creative at different things. So, and then at the bottom, it's the list of attributes that prevent me. Just as a reminder to yourself, build on the good stuff. Just look and remember, you all are. You are amazing people. Those of you who I know well, I know who. Those I don't know well, I wish I did. Because I know there are things in you that I could learn from and grow from. And then the other thing on the table over there are 42 images that I took 4th of July weekend at our lake. I, as you know, from Sunset Dances. This is Sunset Dances. This one is called Colored Changes. Please read my meanings. Sometimes it's good to know what the meaning, at least that I had. You can have a totally different one, but at least know what they are. These are okay. There are meanings there, but this one is called Colored Changes. It has to do with the 4th season. And this one was from a photograph from Edinburgh when we visited. It's called Coming Through the Haze. And it has lots of meaning for both visual haze and also haze of our life and the kinds of things that we're doing through. So take a look at those 3. But so the pictures. The pictures are of both sunsets and also, of course, Monet influence because there are some water lilies. We have water lilies on our lake. So find a picture. Each one is different. They were all taken at least a couple of seconds apart. 2 sunsets the weekend of July 4th. They're stunning. They will be an inspiration to you. Keep that card. Keep it with this. Please be creative. I have one final thing to review because poetry really is wonderful and it can be another thing. And that's my last point. This one is called Life Itself and it's by J. Stone. And it talks about artists in a new way. The most visible creators I know are those whose medium is life itself. the ones who express the inexpressible without brush, hammer, clay, or guitar. They neither paint nor sculpt. Their medium is being. Whatever their presence touches has increased life. They see and don't have to draw. They are the artists of being alive. So go out and be alive. That's what we need. Please come on, look at the stuff there, books on creativity, hobbies, and career.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
It was incredible. It was an incredible journey. And it was really amazing.
Wow,
Yes.
makes my heart feel good.
Any thoughts or feelings? Maybe we just need to just come up with the art and go back to the table and have coffee.
Don't forget your picture.
Next week, we have Jeff Wild at 9 o'clock here in the same place on Wednesday morning. Jeff is going to do some reflection on the psychology behind creativity and some of the religious implications of some of that psychology. And we had Jeff with us quite a bit over the last 4 years, so this will be a very interesting day. I was chatting with him about it, and we're going to do some work also on the